Hello. Many of you enjoyed my last video, so you're thinking this video is going to be enjoyable. Probably not. Can I top my last wrestling video? No, I can't. So today I'm talking about Jim Ross. No, not his crappy match from Extreme Rules, which shouldn't have even been booked. Or the fact that he's been booked in matches before, which he shouldn't have been booked in. Now, he is one of the greatest announcers in wrestling history, mainly due to the fact that he's worked on it over the years. He's gotten better. If you watch his initial WCW announcings and his early WWF announcings, he screwed up a lot. He did screw up, and he did screw up a lot. But he got better. He learned his lines. He got better at announcing. I don't know if the announcing became more scripted, so he just had to read off a script, or what. But he did get a lot better and became a legendary announcer. But what you don't know about Jim Ross, is he's an asshole. The guy got fired from WCW because he couldn't get along with Eric Bischoff, who was put in charge of WCW. That's why he left WCW. It wasn't he wanted more money. It wasn't he wanted more screen time. He was one of their top announcers with Tony Schiavone and Eric Bischoff. But Eric Bischoff got into a position of power and he couldn't get along with Eric Bischoff. So they fired his ass. Then he went to WWF, where he was a decent announcer. He wasn't impressive when he first came to WWF because he screwed up a lot. He'd screw up his lines, he'd screw up wrestler names. He wasn't what he had become, he was what he was. I mean, he was Michael Cole now. That is, he screwed up and wasn't really that great of an announcer compared to the rest of them. So he got fired from WWF and honed his skill in a small federation called Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Then he came back to WWF to get fired again from WWF. Then he came back again to WWF and for some reason was loved now. Now, the thing I don't get about Jim Ross is, I get the color guy, the color announcer, which was typically played by Jerry the King Lawler, Jim Ross during a time, and who was the other one? I think that was it during his early career. But the color announcer was supposed to root for heels in most cases. At least that's how WWF did it, journeying back to Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura, when Ventura was the color guy and he rooted for heels, and then Heenan became the color guy and he rooted for the heels. Macho Man became color guy and rooted for the faces. So, but other people became color guys and they rooted for the heels. And Jim Ross did this. But then when Jim Ross was brought back the third time, he was made play-by-play because Vince McMahon, who was the play-by-play announcer, left the desk. Now all of a sudden he's rooting for the faces. So he's rooting against Stone Cold, but then they turn Stone Cold face, and he's rooting for Stone Cold, and he's talking about their friendship. It's like, if he's friends with him, why not just let him root for him even though he's a bad guy? But no, Jim Ross initially hated Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Stone Cold embarrassed him on numerous occasions. But Jim Ross just went along with it and started loving him when he became a face. And Jim Ross has done this with other wrestlers too. It's really crappy writing on the part of WWE because the announcer position is scripted, blah, 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 blah. If it's not scripted, then that's just crappy announcing by Jim Ross. As I said, he did mess up a lot. During some matches, he wouldn't know what to say. I mean, we all know his legendary by God, he's broken in half from King of the Ring 1998. But Jim Ross is an asshole. I mean, the guy got fired from WCW because he couldn't get along with Eric Bischoff. It wasn't that Bischoff couldn't get along with him, it's that he couldn't get along with Eric Bischoff. Then we got Paul Heyman replacing the King when the King left WWF for a short time. In 2001, I do believe. You can feel free to correct me on this. When he left, and Jerry Lawler left because they fired his wife, Stacy Carter, who was the Cat. Or did they fire her or did she quit because they wanted to do something sexual? I don't remember. But she left, and Lawler got mad because they mistreated her, and he left too. And he came back like 2 years later because they divorced. Now, there's that. But during this time, we had Paul Heyman as the color man. And Paul Heyman, not a great announcer. Never has been, never will be a great announcer. But he is a great booker. He comes up with great storylines. I mean, he reinvented ECW from Eastern Championship Wrestling to Extreme Championship Wrestling. And single-handedly made it what it is by developing talent, finding talent, writing good storylines, making good matches. Horrible businessman behind the scenes, but great at the wrestling aspect of it. The booking, the matches, the storylines, the characters. Behind the scenes, he didn't pay the bills. That's why ECW went out of business. So Paul Heyman deserved to really be praised for what he did. And JR acted like he was above working with Paul Heyman. Like Paul Heyman was a joke. He was a nothing. He was a nobody. And he insulted Paul Heyman every chance he got. He insulted ECW. He mocked Paul Heyman pretty much at points. And that's just wrong. I mean, Paul Heyman, well, not a great announcer. He wasn't a great announcer. I mean, Joey Styles was the announcer for ECW, and he wasn't a great announcer by any means either. So JR insulted Paul Heyman and just ran him down. And that's one of the reasons they had to get rid of Paul Heyman from the announce team, was because JR was going to quit because he didn't want to work with Paul Heyman. Yeah, that's true. So they negotiated to bring Lawler back so they could keep JR happy. And Paul Heyman went behind the scenes and eventually got shipped down to FCW when he deserved to be up in WWF. And that was JR's doing with his politicking. And I mean, JR is an asshole in real life. He got in trouble with WCW because he couldn't get along with people. He's been fired twice by WWF in real life. I mean, we're not talking that crappy storyline where he left for Bell's palsy. No, he got fired twice in real life for pretty much being an asshole and for fucking up his lines. So JR is a great announcer. He's great at the announcing position. In real life, he's an asshole. And when he was younger, he was crap. In WCW, he messed up a lot. And in early WWF, he messed up a lot. The only thing that makes JR great is he's worked on the announcing. But backstage, he's an ass. And he constantly plugs his own products. So remember that next time you're saying, yeah, JR's this great guy. JR's not a great guy. JR's an ass. Now, is he as bad as Michael Cole? He was when he first started. Michael Cole's bad because Michael Cole's slowly gotten worse over the years, announcing wise. He doesn't work at it. He doesn't try. He needs to have his ass fired, and they can bring in a decent announcer. Tony Schiavone at least tried. The King, we all know the King's an ass. I mean, everybody you talk to who's ever met him said, man, this guy's an ass. He used to purposely punch people in matches, do shoot punches in matches just to piss them off. He's an ass. We all know he's an ass. But JR is an ass. Am I saying replace JR? No. I'm saying I think JR should be on the announce table permanently. But I just want to say he was an ass. Tired of people saying he's a great guy. No, JR's an ass. He's big ass. So that's all I got to say. Now go away, I want to do stuff.